Hi there, it's day 10 of your reset. And remember yesterday at the very beginning of the video, I was sort of all excited because after, more than a week, I'd found my sort of professional microphone and was using that. And I was all excited. I did the video in English and in Italian. And then I thought I'm going to get ahead. And so I'll record another two videos, which I did. And it didn't work. Silence. So I don't know, it was happy to work for me for two videos, but it's not working now. So I'll use this one. It should improve the sound quality. And yeah, it's a little bit awkward, but there you go. Technology. Technology is fantastic when it works, but when it doesn't, it's really frustrating. And who knows whether it has something to do with Mercury sort of pulling out of retrograde and doing that little backflip that it does. But yeah, anyway, at the moment we're not talking about, what's going on astrologically. We're talking about what's going on in your physical body. And today we're talking about sugar and the sugar dragon. Just by the way, if you've stumbled across this video on YouTube, don't know what we're talking about, if we haven't met, click on the link below the video and that will take you to the page on my website which explains all about this 31-day detox and reset for your metabolism, inflammation levels and stress levels. Okay, so today's topic, day 10, Wednesday, is your sugar dragon under control? We all have a sugar dragon, each and every one of us. He's here with us. He's been with us since birth. And once upon a time, he was friendly and super important for our survival, but things have changed. And now, unfortunately, he's a dangerous beast. We have to recognize the power that the sugar dragon has over us, and we have to keep him under control forever. Okay, so this is going to be like a project for our lifetime. That photo, the first photo here in the video, is the sweeteners, the type of sweeteners that I have in my pantry now, apart from the white sugar in the little blue bowl there. I don't have that. That was just sort of there because it comes as part of like a Christmas panettone or the Easter cakes here. It just sort of happened to be there, so I've put it in as an example, but we usually just sort of throw it out. We don't keep sugar like that in the house. All of the rest are natural sugars, but we're going to look at now why we have to be careful even of the natural sweeteners. So be smart. Sugars and sweeteners, natural and non. The number one problem with sugars and sweeteners in any form, natural or otherwise, is that they're addictive, right? Now, yes, they're low or empty in nutrition. They're high in calories and they cause insulin levels to spike and fall, all, as we know now, which all lead to serious health issues, right? Which can all explode into serious health problems. But the big problem with sugar and sweeteners is that the sweet taste is terribly addictive, right? Not the sugar itself, but it's the sweet taste that is addictive. And so for the same reasons that we humans get hooked to technology and cocaine and nicotine, once you've boarded the train to the pleasure zone, it's really hard to get off. So why is this? So in the time of our ancestors, right, we don't even have to jump back that many generations, right? In the time of our ancestors, the sweet taste of seasonal fruits and honey signaled to the brain that we'd found a dense and nutritious source of energy. And as we know, when we've received enough nutrients, the body-brain responds with a feeling of satiety, right? And it's the feeling of satiety that turns off the desire to eat. But in contrast to the satiety that comes from healthy proteins and healthy fats, the body-brain responds to the taste of sweetness with the chemical reaction of pleasure and reward. Okay, so it's an actual chemical brain reaction that occurs. The stimulus of pleasure and reward is activated from birth when the newborn tastes the colostrum from the mother's breast, and from that point onwards, it directs our behavior. So for the newborn, it stimulated the impulse to keep seeking food in the same way, right, that for our like Paleolithic, our indigenous ancestors, it stimulated the impulse to to hunt and gather and search for food, right? And so for that reason, it's fundamental for our survival. But the security of pleasure and reward remains with us for our whole life. Pleasure and reward is caused by the release of the neurotransmitter dopamine and the opioid receptors, endorphins, right? And the combination of these makes us feel wonderful, right? Now, dopamine is released when we experience pleasure, and it plays an important role in eating and sleeping and having sex. Endorphins are morphine-like molecules, and they're released to combat pain and can create a feeling of euphoria. So, because of the interplay of these chemicals, when we eat something sweet, quite literally, we receive a little bit of ecstasy. And this was fantastic for our ancestors, but it's a tragedy for modern humans. Okay? Because not so long ago, sweetness was a rare treat. But now, sweet foods are constantly available. They're devoid of nutrients, and their level of sweetness is way beyond anything found in nature. Right? And we're not just talking about candy and refined sugar here. The fruit of the past, when you think about it, wasn't as big, as beautiful, and as sweet as the fruit that we find today. So, addiction. Through a constant consumption of the sweet taste, our addiction begins. The dopamine receptors become desensitized, and subsequently inhibit our ability to experience pleasure, right? We become tolerant, right? Which means that we need more of the substance to experience the same feeling of pleasure as before. Then, a constant release of endorphins causes the brain to think that euphoria is the natural state. And the brain gets used to receiving this wave of pleasure. And then, not having drug in the system results in sadness and anxiety. So we really need those cookies. We really need that sugar in our coffee or the honey in our tea. We need the sweet snack or the fizzy drinks. We need the sweetness, yeah? Because if not, we're anxious and we're anxious and we're sad and we're irritable. And then, through continuous administration, the pleasure and reward receptors light up at the mere thought of the treat, right? And so this translates into craving, right? So the body, brain, the chemicals are saying, give me something sweet now. Doesn't matter whether the source is healthy or unhealthy. It doesn't matter whether it's white sugar or maple syrup or muscovado or stevia or honey or molasses or a banana or strawberries. Doesn't matter. It's all the same with regards to the chemistry of the brain. It wants a shot of sugar, and it'll manipulate you into getting it. And if you don't comply, as we've said, you'll find that you're depressed and you're irritable and you're anxious and you're sad. And this is a really good indication that you're trapped in the cycle of the sugar burner. Okay, so as we know now, the health problems that are caused by being a sugar burner instead of a fat burner, right, they've been detailed. So if you haven't had a chance to really assimilate that, then maybe do a bit of a revision there, because seriously, this is the kind of information that can change your life. And just, be really clear here. Sugar addiction is a very, very difficult habit to break. We invent 1,000 ways to keep sweetness in our lives, right? We replace refined sugar with stevia, with muscovado, or with dates, convincing ourselves that they're healthy because they're natural. And I've used these examples because that's exactly what I was doing, yeah? When, before having done, this reset, before having done this shift, yeah, the metabolic shift and the psychological shift and receiving all of that awareness. I literally I thought I was being healthy, and I had no idea how many times I was reaching for the sweet taste every day, from the time I woke up in the morning to the time I went to bed at night. And this is the problem, for a sugar addicted brain, there's no difference. Sugar is glucose, is sweet, is sugar, full stop. Okay, so we need to really be aware of this, and we need to keep the sugar dragon under control for all of our life, yeah? And this is not to say, right, and I've said this in earlier emails as well, this is not to say that we want to become obsessive about it, right? We need a little bit of sweetness in our lives. We need that pleasurable sensation. We're not saying never. We're saying just learn how to manage it and keep it under control, and trust that, again, from experience, not just of myself, but of everyone, when you break the habit of the sugar dragon, your taste buds change very quickly. And what was once pleasantly sweet becomes sickly sweet in a very short time. When I look at recipes from my childhood, the desserts and the sweets that I grew up with, I look at the quantity of sugar and sweetener in it, and it's just astounding. I can't believe that's how, that's what we were eating. And now we don't need, to receive the pleasure, we don't need that much sweetener. So it is, we're not saying cut it out completely. We're just saying being aware of it and find different ways of adding it. So one way of adding it into your diet, particularly during the reset, when we're really sort of like breaking our habits, instead of eating sweetness and instead of eating fruit on its own, add it to your main meal, add it to your main plate, right? So in this way, right, if you add it to your own plate, the fructose in the fruit is counterbalanced by the other macronutrients, by the protein and the fats, and that way you'll avoid the problem of excess insulin production, and that sugar high and low, but you'll also receive the benefits of the nutrients. Okay, so you'll find some good examples of this in the recipe book. You've also got some links there in the email, so you can check out that. And then I've also popped in here a recipe for chia seed pudding, which you can, it's a nice treat, maybe on the weekend for breakfast, or as a little treat after your meal. And if you read the recipe here, also you'll find that the sweetness of the fruit and that little touch of muscovado sugar is balanced by the healthy fat of the coconut milk. Okay, so we're always looking to reduce our insulin levels, reduce that blood sugar high and low, and receive maximum nutrition. Okay, so buon appetito. There's a reminder there of how to prepare a healthy meal, and the movement recommendation for today is to do a sprint. Okay, now a sprint is, Mark Sisson says that the sprint is like the optimal primal workout. Please read through this. Spend a little bit of time assimilating this information here, because it is a fantastic thing to do. We don't want to be doing a sprint very often. Once every 10 days, once every 2 weeks is enough. But we do want to sort of like get the heart rate up and go flat out, every now and again, because it's incredibly good for all of the systems in our body. It's fantastic for healthy hormone release and balancing. And have a read through there, and you'll find that there's also suggestions there for low impact sprinting, which is what I usually do, which is just sort of like going fast up a hill or going fast upstairs, and also high impact sprinting, which is like sprinting. I do that every now and again as well. Have a look at that, and if you're feeling like your energy is high enough, maybe try that. If you're not feeling high in energy, then just move, do some work, do some movement exercises in other ways. And don't forget to spend 5 minutes writing in your journal, doing your affirmation exercises and motivation exercises, because that's a fantastic way to stay connected to the process. The more connected you are to the process, the higher will be your results. Okay, connect with me if you need to, and I will see you tomorrow. Ciao.